Just know JT coming, JT coming, JT, JT, JT coming, and that's all y'all need to know.
Hi guys, it's Kayla, purveyor of all things mildly upsetting and chronically online. How's January treating you? I'm sorry for the lack of poetic introduction, but I just need to jump right into things. So today, I want to rant about the discourse around Por and TeeTee's ship dynamic. You might remember back in March of last year when I covered the 2025 Domundi lineup. At the time, I briefly mentioned an incident with Por and TeeTee regarding this exact issue. Here's a refresher. Por and TeeTee are an acting pair signed under Domundi, and prior to the lineup, their fanbase had been debating over what their official ship name should be, PorTeeTee or TeeTeePor. The decision hadn't been made yet, at least not publicly, but when Por and TeeTee came on stage to present their upcoming series, Doang with You, they finally made the announcement. Instead of choosing one, they would choose both. Their ship names would be PorTeeTee and TeeTeePor. Unfortunately, this decision was poorly received. A small but loud majority of fans attacked Por and TeeTee for refusing to choose the ship dynamic they wanted. Both actors felt compelled to address the backlash on Twitter. TeeTee admitted to crying when he saw how dissatisfied the fans were. It was a mess. And if you're thinking to yourself, this is such a stupid thing to have discourse over, you would be right. For that reason, I thought this issue would stay in the past. How silly of me to even consider that. The debate picked up again on December 13th when Por and TeeTee updated the fans on their final decision. Though they released individual statements, their talking points were practically the same. To quickly summarize, they say they sat down together and had a serious discussion about the matter. Ultimately, they decided to go with TeeTeePor. They emphasize that it's just a name and nothing will really change for them. They're still the Por and TeeTee we've always known. Por reassures the fans by saying, "We have no intention of abandoning anyone," and TeeTee asks for their understanding multiple times. That's pretty much it. As an outsider to the fandom, I was 99.9% sure this would be the outcome, because if you look back at their tweets from March, they were already using the hashtag TeeTeePor. The real question was, would they surrender to peer pressure? So now the feud between the PorTeeTee truthers and the rest of the fandom has been reignited. Despite this, I do think it was a good idea for Por and TeeTee to share their finalized ship name before Doang with You begins airing. They're basically trying to nip the problem in the bud so it doesn't overshadow the series. Let's hope they're successful in this endeavor, because it would be awful if the series was ruined by something this preposterous. Before I delve into my rant about why this ship name controversy is so preposterous, I'm going to take a moment to explain the difference in name placement, because I know a lot of people who watch my videos don't actively participate in fandom. So basically, the person whose name is first is meant to be the top, and the person whose name is second is meant to be the bottom. It's a very old school system that originates from the act of shipping characters in classic shows, such as Star Trek, The X-Files, and Supernatural. Fans will create a portmanteau that combines two people's names into one official ship name. In Thai BL, they just put two actors' names next to each other. But the sequence the names go in is very important to some fans, as we see with Por and TeeTee's situation. How do you determine who's the top and who's the bottom in a ship involving real people? I think this is where the true issue lies, because you can't really make that decision without some level of heteronormativity attached to it. For example, the top position is often assigned to the person who presents in a more traditionally masculine way. They might be tall and muscular, with mannerisms that are stereotypical to men. Then the bottom position will be assigned to the person who presents in a more traditionally feminine way. 9 times out of 10, they are the shorter, more dainty one of the two, and they often possess mannerisms that are associated with women. This is certainly not the case across the board. I can think of many BL ships that don't entirely fit into this mold. However, the heteronormativity always pops out in some way, whether it's through dialogue in the series or the actors joking about it in real life. Pooh Pavel fans, for example, are constantly joking about the two of them switching up their ship dynamic. Pavel specifically loves teasing the fans by insisting their ship name is Pavel Pooh.
พูดว่า Pavel Pooh ดิที่รอบหนึง
พูดว่าอะไรนะ
Pavel Pooh อ่ะ
Pavel Pooh
พาเวลพู
ภูพาเวลอยู่ดี
สวัสดีพาเวลพู
โอ้ย
แพลวพูน่ารักมาก
เฮ้ยเนื้อภูเพลเนี่ย
แพลวพู
โอ้ยเนื้อ
พาเวลพูน่ารัก
พาเวลพู
It's all in good fun, but you can't ignore the punchline of the joke, which is essentially, no one wants to be the bottom. In fact, being called a bottom is almost offensive. I think it has to do with toxic masculinity and this notion that you're less of a man if you're the bottom, which also circles back to heteronormativity. Why do some fans want Por to be the top, TeeTee to be the bottom, or vice versa? It's all based on these stereotypes about gender and sexuality. You know what it reminds me of? The discourse around the actors at Jamundi who present in a more effeminate manner. I have a whole video on femphobia in BL if you're interested, but it's in that Venn diagram of misogyny, homophobia, and all the other buzzwords. To put it simply, some fans are analyzing the way that Por and TeeTee carry themselves and are assigning them with sexual positions based on their observations. I mentioned this in my Jamundi lineup video, but I think Por and TeeTee, particularly TeeTee, being so young, adds another layer of creepiness to the sexualization. I wish these supposed fans could see that what they're doing to Por and TeeTee is so degrading. It's one thing to have a preference for a specific ship dynamic. I would be lying if I said I hate trad yaoi. In fact, it's very much the opposite. I love a size difference. I love a possessive top. I love a sassy bottom. We like what we like, you know? However, publicly projecting your preferences onto others is not a harmless act. You don't get to lash out at someone because they don't identify how you want them to. Por and TeeTee do not have to adhere to your limited understanding of queerness or your embarrassing lack of boundaries. That is a skill issue on your part. Go and deal with it instead of making it everyone else's problem. I try to conclude every video on a positive note, and so I want to mention one thing I really do like about ships that have a fixed dynamic. Personally, I think it makes finding and organizing content way easier. If you're looking for a specific photo, video, fanfiction, or news article, you can easily find it through a hashtag. I pretty much owe every screenshot I've ever found to a quick search through a BL Ship's official hashtag. I think some people might also like knowing what to expect from a ship when they watch their series. To an extent, you know what you're getting every time, even if the characters they're playing are vastly different from each other. There could be a downside to this as well, where the actors are pigeonholed into similar roles. But like most of the topics we discuss on this channel, I don't think ship dynamics, whether they follow a traditional archetype or not, would cause such a commotion if people weren't so pushy and entitled about it. Sometimes I also wonder if we, as international fans, are subconsciously projecting our own standards onto a culture we're not privy to. Think of the wife discourse from a few years ago when it was common to see one person in a ship being referred to as the wife.
OK， 那我想抢走波当老婆可以吗？
变脸，
怎么办？
变脸。
怎么办？你不想让他当我的老婆，对吗？
At first, people chalked it up to the fact that BL was originally targeted towards a straight female demographic who could self-insert into the story. Then we saw several gay Thai men speaking out about the issue and clarifying that the term wife is regularly used to refer to men in the gay community. For me, it always comes down to the same thing. Respect. As long as we have mutual respect for each other, then who cares what the relationship dynamic looks like? At the end of the day, Doang With You is just a cute university BL, and Por and TeeTee are just two guys working together on their own terms. And listen, I complain about Jamundi all the time, but you have to give them credit for cultivating this safe space where the actors feel comfortable to express themselves, be it through words, actions, physical appearance, or decisions that will impact their careers. That type of freedom is rare. Thank you to the moon and back for watching. This video was totally on a whim, and it's more of a rant than a deep dive, so if I missed any notable details, please let me know. I would love to hear from the TeeTeePor fans. What was your opinion on the naming situation? Do you think the trailers for Doang With You had an influence on the way people perceive Por and TeeTee? And to the general viewing audience, will you be tuning in to the series? Originally, I wasn't going to, but I feel like I have to now, even if it's just to support Por and TeeTee against the weirdos. But anyway, thanks again for watching. I'm currently working on 2 other videos, both of which are giving me a lot of trouble, so I'm not sure what my next upload will be. In the meantime, like and subscribe. My brother always tells me I need to start saying that. Okay, let's end it here. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye!